Hey friends, it's Natasha. Thanks for joining me today on Educational Roots. Today I wanted to give you a flip through of Pathway Reading Grade 4, which is Building Our Lives. So I'm going to show you inside the book, the teacher manual, and the workbook so you can get an idea of what this program is like. So one of the reasons I chose this program was because it really builds up the kids' character. All of the books in the Pathway series are based on Amish school children, and they follow their lives, and they really teach great lessons. And so that is actually my number one reason for choosing this series, is because I know it's edifying and uplifting and will teach my kids right from wrong and really instill great character traits and values. Let's jump right in. So this is the student book for 4th grade. Some of the grades come with more than one reader, but the 4th grade only comes with this one. It is pretty thick and it's pretty plain, as you can see. So let's go through the contents. The Unit 1 is Upward Trails. Unit 2, Learning by Living. Unit 3, The World Around Us. Unit 4, Growing Stronger. Unit 5, Years Ago. And Unit 6, Learning from Animals. And there's poems dispersed throughout the reader as well. So here's what the first lesson looks like. First we have a poem on this side, and then we get started right into the first lesson, which is Jingling Quarters. And I'll show you the length of a lesson here. Okay, and then it goes to part 2, Playing a Trick. And that's part of Jingling Quarters. And then Katie Couldn't Forget starts the next story. So what I do is I have my daughter read one section, one part a day. So she would read all this all the way to here one day, and then she would read part 2 the next day. And most of them have 2 parts like that. So I'll just flip through a little more. There are some pictures dispersed throughout, but what you'll notice is that there's no people in the pictures. So there's animals and objects, but no pictures of people. And they're few and far between. So but by 4th grade, they shouldn't need a ton of pictures in their reading, but there are a couple. Okay, show you the teacher's edition. So this is very thin, and basically it's just a copy of the student workbook with the answers filled in. That's all it is. So, and you can see the answers were handwritten in by somebody with beautiful handwriting, I might add. And that's all it is. So there's no real teacher lessons, although there's sometimes little notes like this. Children should be told whenever a story starts in the middle of a page, paragraphs for that page and story should be counted starting from the beginning of the story, not from the top of the page. I mean, just very minimal notes to the teacher, but it is basically just an answer key. Now, I do find having this very helpful because if I don't read the stories myself, I may not know if the answers are correct. So I do suggest still getting this, and it's super cheap. Definitely still get this. You can buy this all in a pack. And then we have the workbook for the students. And so basically what we do is before we read the story, before my daughter reads the story, she'll do the working with words page. So this one is on Jingling Quarters, that first lesson I showed you. So she would do this worksheet before she starts reading. And this will cover kind of like vocabulary. Anyway, she'll do this page first, the working with words page, and then she'll do her reading. Then the next day she'll read part 2, and then she'll do the thinking about the story. So we noticed when we first started this, she tried to do the thinking about the story after reading only the first part and realized that you could not answer all the questions if you hadn't read both parts. So again, on the first day, she would do the working with words page, read the first part. Then the next day, she would read the second part of the story and then would do the thinking about the story page. And so that's pretty much how we've been doing it and pretty much how this workbook goes. So again, working with words, underline the correct word or phrase in each sentence, Write how many syllables you hear, cross out the word that is used wrong. And then the thinking about the story, answering kind of comprehension questions, more syllable work here. Again, for the next lesson, working with words, got vocabulary stuff here, and thinking about the story here. And it just follows that same format throughout the book. So you see we have root words, plurals, suffixes. So this has a lot of language arts in it, even though it's a reading program. There's more suffixes there. Prefixes, plural forms of nouns, more prefixes, alphabetical order, and then it says, you know, you've been learning about prefixes and suffixes, and now some words have both a prefix and a suffix. This really just has great stories in them. As you can see, it's completely black and white. So basically in the 4th grade, you deal with a lot of syllables, prefixes, suffixes, alphabetical order, comprehension, and vocabulary. And that's, you know, basically what this covers. So I would say that if you're doing this, you don't need a separate vocabulary program. You also probably don't need a separate like root word program. This is pretty much all encompassing. Of course, you do need a, you know, a separate grammar and spelling and writing, but this covers a lot of language arts right in this. So I hope that was helpful and gave you a great idea of what this covers. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And I hope you have a blessed day.